Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We are in episode 4, and a very, very special person to me is Alan Errington. He has quite the track record in the world of soccer in Canada and back in the UK. Coach Errington, thank you for joining me.
Very welcome. Looking forward to it.
So, just to give a quick ramble of your accomplishments and where you've been. There's a lot of notes that go along with the name Alan Errington, but Alan is the former coach of the Canadian World Cup and Olympic teams and the Gold Cup of the Canadian national team in the 80s and the 90s. Worked many, many years alongside the legendary Bobby Leonarduzzi, especially during the time during the Whitecaps. Coach Alan Errington has also coached many provincial and national teams at all levels, BC and across the nation, and had a long tenure as the UFE men's head coach in Abbotsford. Was also one of the founding fathers of the Abbotsford Soccer Association, along with Barry Crocker, Colin Miller, and crew. And during that time, many provincial championships have won, and I would say most recently spent some time in Metro Ford, out your neck in the woods, but many years with Canadian soccer, lots of relationships, lots of people that you have connected with. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey there?
Wow, it's a long time ago. The memory's still okay. Not as good as it used to be, but it's still okay. I started here I came to Vancouver in 1973 with a company in the steelworks called Cameron, and they brought us over to widen the Lionsgate Bridge, and I was a steel fabricator at that time. Just finished my apprenticeship in England. I was 23 years of age and came over and loved it, went back, and I had a wife and 2 children back home. So we packed them up and we came in 1974 and emigrated. And best decision I ever made in my life, or from marrying the wife probably. But really, it's been a blessing since I've been here. And played football, soccer, and was okay at it. I played at a fairly decent level in England in the Northern Premier League. But coming to Canada, I learned it's ironic that Canada hasn't got the best reputation compared to England and a lot of the European teams. But I learned football, soccer in Canada more than anywhere else. And the coaching route was a weird one because I was playing soccer in 1974 in Richmond and I broke my ankle. And I had pins and screws and pieces of stainless steel in my ankle and a cast for 6 months. That's what they did them days. And I remember I was walking on crutches around Killarney shopping centre with the wife, and there was a little note on the window, soccer coach is required. And I remember saying to Ruth, I wonder if I applied, if I might get a chance. Little did I know, they dragged us in and I started coaching 9-year-old kids. Never seen any of them before. And we won all the time. We just had them buzzing around, nothing, I had no idea about coaching, and did well. And from there, I got asked to do the Vancouver under-16s, I think it was. Took that team and won, did well. And I had the under-18 Vancouver team. And then Les Wilson, who was one of the staff at BC Soccer, asked about do the BC team under-16 team. And then I did that first year, and we won. I think we beat Toronto, Ontario 2-1. Jerry Gray played for the Ontario team, Branko Segura. They had a very strong team, but we beat them 2-1 and did very well. Then I did the next under-16 team. I think your brother played for me, Ron, and played on that team. Good player, very good player. And then I did the under-18s, and from there on, Tony Waiters and Les Wilson invited me to the Whitecaps to help run the reserve team and the youth team, which I went, and during that time, I went and did all my coaching qualifications, which was the prelim, intermediate, and national. So I was fully qualified as a national coach in Canada, and went to the Whitecaps. First day there, I actually started my first day there with another guy from Abbotsford, Barry Crocker. We started on the same night. We were standing outside the dressing room and introduced ourselves. What are you doing? First night I'm going to be coaching with the youth team, and he says, oh, I'm a physio. I'm here as well. met Barry Crocker that very night, and got there and watching and learning from Tony Waiters, Bob McNabb, Les Wilson, Nobby Stiles, John Craven, Johnny Giles, I
Hmm.
realized I hadn't a clue.
Hmm.
Not a clue. And all the coaching courses I took were very good for organizing and getting through a session and filling the time in. They didn't do any of that at the White Caps. They
Hmm.
coached football, and I quickly figured it out. The drills are good. All the drills, the more drills you know, the better you are. But that's not the case. And they just coach football. And I learned how it was done from some of the very best coaches in the world at the time. So I was
Hmm.
very fortunate. And then we did the under-18s as well, and I think we won the cup in Newfoundland, yeah, Randy Keane in goal, and we won on penalties against Ontario again. So it
Uh-huh.
was quite good. And then when the Whitecaps folded, there was no soccer. The NASL was gone in '84, and the World Cup. I was involved with the World Cup team. I was on the staff of the '86 World Cup team, and we played there, never scored a goal, never won a game, but had a good go at it. And from there, the bonus money that they got from some of the guys got from the World Cup, they put it towards starting a new club, which would be the Vancouver Whitecaps, to play in the CSL. But we couldn't use the Whitecaps name because one of the directors of the Whitecaps owned the name Whitecaps, and they wanted
Hmm.
$1 million for it. So Tony Waiters come up and says, "Well, we'll go Vancouver 86ers." And that was when the 86ers were born. And
No way.
I got involved with Bob Lenarduzzi, and he asked me to be his assistant. He was the first coach. And we got on great. It was really a good relationship with Bob and I. And
Hmm.
Bob, in the first year at the 86ers, played as well as being the head coach. And halfway through the season, he says, "Alan, you just take it on, and I'll just play." And then after that, he had more of a coaching role the second season than that. But we had a fabulous relationship. He was really good to work with. And he also came up through the same mentors that I had. So we were on the same page with everything. And we're very
Hmm.
lucky, but we were very good as well
Hmm.
that we won so much there. From there, we got the national team job for the World Cup team. 90, 94 and 98, we did two stints. And from there, retired, went to university, coached at University of the Fraser Valley, loved it. Coached your brother, the goalkeeper, who did
Hmm.
very well and became a professional himself.
Hmm.
So a long road, and in between, I'd coached at Metro Ford. I've coached different teams, lots of
Hmm.
different teams, and it surprises me whenever I go sometimes with the grandkids games and what have you, the mall, and people come up and talk to me. And I know who they are. I can see their
Hmm.
faces and I remember them. Can't remember the names.
Yeah.
So many
Yeah.
players over the years. So
Of course.
long
Of
time
course.
doing it and being a bit fortunate that we won most of the time.
Yeah. I just want to go into a bit of the inspiration. Like, was there a particular person that inspired you or kind of kickstarted your coaching career?
Well, Les Wilson was the guy who
Yeah.
invited me to get involved with the Whitecaps, and we coached together with the reserves actually, and he was very good as well. But I think Tony Waiters was a huge impact on
Mm.
how I looked at the game and did it. Introduced us to shadow play, which we did at the club in Abbotsford, and got
Mhm.
all the teams playing the same way. Success with it. Had success everywhere with it. 86ers, Whitecaps, Abbotsford, Metro
Mhm.
Ford, whatever I've got.
Mhm.
And John Craven was a big help. I worked with John Craven for a couple of years, and he was terrific to work with. Bob
Mhm.
McNabb was on the coaching staff, and he was quite cruel to me when I was doing I went, the Whitecaps sent me over for my English prelim and my full professional license. And Bob says, "You've got no chance." I says,
Oh.
"Really?" He says, "Yeah." He said, "I'll tell you what, I'll critique you every session we do now for the next month and see where we go." And
Mhm.
he slaughtered me every night. He slaughtered. He didn't do this, and by the end of the month, I was doing exactly what I said. I went to England, took my pro course, and walked through it. Thanks to Bob McNabb. He
Mm.
was a terrific inspiration, and
Some
I had a
tough
lot of
love.
respect for him. Fantastic. Yeah.
And then along the way, maybe that's one obstacle you had to overcome. But was immigrating a huge a barrier for you? Like, what are some other barriers you had to overcome to see some of the success that
Um,
you?
I think maybe a couple of little things. Being involved in the pro game and not actually playing professionally myself, I always felt, I wonder if I've got the respect from the players, that
Mm,
he's never played at the highest level. I played at a good level, but I never really experienced that. I always thought that inside myself, but I never got that from the players. The players sort of accepted me, and I think a lot of that's to do with the personality. We like to have a
mm,
good laugh, and
yeah.
we take the mick out of each other. We had a meeting just the other day with Paul Dolan, Sven Haberman, Colin Mill, and Frank Yallop.
Hmm.
We had lunch, and all the stories were fabulous. We had some great
Yeah.
times, and I was sore when I left. They were laughing. It was great. So we had a bit of a laugh, and we got on well with everybody. Winning helps. When you're
Yeah.
winning, everybody seems to accept you a little bit more. If we'd lost all that, it might have been different. But
Yeah.
we got things right, and we
Hmm.
won most of the times. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I know your son has coached as well as, what are some of the things that you can reflect on inspiring others to coach or get into the world of even provincial coaching, and then there's national, and then there's the Canadian national team. At all levels. Like how does somebody get into that? Is it a who do you know business, or is it quality of coaching?
I don't know. I mean, I think I got involved because I kept winning when I was coaching the young
Mm,
kids, and got
mm-hmm,
the Vancouver team as a bit of I guess there wasn't a lot of coaches around at that time, and I took that on, and I think once I got to the Whitecaps, and I learned how to coach the game, and not just coach players or do drills.
mm-hmm,
Um, it really set me on a path of wherever we went, we had success because one of the things that they made sure of at the professional level was they played a certain way, patterns of play, which because we did in Abbotsford,
mm-hmm,
but also that each player knew their responsibilities of that position. And what we developed over the years, and certainly one of my highlights was play with the Abbotsford club, was we took a very average team, with all due respect, and we won two national championships back to back.
mm-hmm,
One year we were
mm-hmm,
under 17, won the under 18 national championships. The next year we won it. We never lost a game the whole season, and won everything. And because the players bought into it,
mm-hmm,
and I remember when Peter was my assistant coach, my son, and we were playing, and we just looked at each other and says, our job's done here. The,
mm-hmm,
the players were coaching on the field, and they 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 knew every position. All the players knew what other positions were, even though they didn't play it. And if somebody didn't do the job, they were held accountable. And we
mm-hmm,
had that all over the field. And it wasn't just having a go at people for not doing right things. It was just as important that they had to have a go at them and say, well done, praise them when they did well.
mm-hmm,
And I think they all bought into that. And we, we had a real good time at Abbotsford. It was so successful. We had Colin Miller there,
mm-hmm,
Barry Crocker, the legend, and
mm-hmm,
we had good people. And all the different coaches all the way down the line were winning provincial cups and getting to nationals
mm-hmm,
because the club had a program where everybody knew what we were doing, and we didn't allow anybody to play a different way. We all had
mm-hmm,
the same style and system, so that any players, and we did this. We used to train at where was it? Or a little field with lights, and it was mud. There was no grass, and we used to train out there. And we only had 14 players on our team, but we had 22 at every session. They were
mm-hmm,
coming. There was a couple of senior players come back, and we used to bring youth players from the under 16s or the under 15s to come up and train with us, and then they'd go back to their teams and be a bit quicker and a bit better and help them. And the whole
mm-hmm,
club really took off. It was a really good experience. I remember I live in Coquitlam Centre, and we were sitting at home one night and retired, and my wife says, "Oh, the phone's ringing. It's Barry Crocker." And he says, "Oh, we've got a good little team. Why don't you come out and coach?" And no, Barry, in Abbotsford, it's too far, and
mm-hmm.
long way to go and that. And he'd phoned me about 3 or 4 times, and the wife says at the end, "Why don't you go out? You're doing nothing here." So off I went, and that was it. I was hooked. And we used to sit in the car, me and Peter, driving to training, and it's chucking it down every night. Double
Mhm,
weight wipers going and all that, and we'd say, "What are we doing here? Why are
mhm,
we doing this? Not getting
mhm.
paid anybody. It cost me $100 a week for gas." And on the way
And that was
back,
back then.
yeah, and on the way back, we'd say to each other, "What a fabulous session that was! That was brilliant. Can't wait till next one." We just
Mm,
loved it. It was a great atmosphere,
mhm.
and I loved my time at Abbotsford.
And if you look at, Abbotsford now or youth programs in the Lower Mainland, across the province, across the nation, are there ones that are separating themselves than others? Like, what are some youth clubs doing to separate and see success?
I think the bigger clubs are doing well. Metro Ford's a good club. Surrey's a good club with Jeff Clark there. But they've all got good clubs and good players. I think the system's changed over the years. I don't
Mm,
think. Well, I'm 100% sure we don't have the same amount of representation for British Columbia as we used to do in the past.
mm,
1986 World Cup, there were 16 players out of the 22 from BC. How many
wow.
are from BC on the national team now? For the last 10 years? Not very many.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe what happened was we had the perfect pathway when we were starting. The players played for the club. When they were playing for the club, they then got selected for their district. So Richmond players would play for Richmond, New West had a team, Burnaby, Vancouver, North Shore, Delta, they all had teams.
Hmm.
And then they used to have a little tournament at Empire Stadium where they'd all play each other. And the BC selectors would look down and select the squad to come out and try out for the BC team. And it
Hmm.
was so good, they said, well, let's make that a league. And they've all done it with the best intentions.
Hmm.
And the league is now that used to be it's a BC Premier League now. It was the Metro League then,
Hmm.
and it was very good. And then the academies came up, and now the players go to the academy. But they've chipped away because the players don't go back to the clubs and help the players in the clubs because they're a bit better because where they've been. So they've all been done in good intentions, but the wrong things. And now the best players in the BC Premier League, they go to the academy, the Whitecaps. And I honestly think that's great, but they should play
Hmm.
for the club as well.
Hmm.
And they go. So the BC Premier League is not as good as it would be with all the better players in.
Hmm.
So I just think they've lost their way a little bit in the direction. And the money side of it's come into it. It's cost a fortune to play football now.
Hmm.
And the coaches all get paid. So it's changed a lot. And in BC, not for the better.
Okay. Okay. If um it, if there was a change that you could make, what would it be? Would it be go back to what we used to, or is there something else that's missing?
I think there has to be strong leadership at the top.
Okay.
And I use Abbotsford again as a great example. They
Hmm.
were a club in the Fraser Valley, and again, with all due respect, not one of the better clubs. They were very average, and some decent little players, good skills and good athletes, but never won anything. And it was all we'll go to Abbotsford, we'll beat them.
Hmm.
And Barry Crocker, Colin Miller, and myself, and a few others, the other coaches as well, we set out the program and we said this is the way we're going to play, and it was all
Hmm.
based on me and Barry and Colin Miller would all come through the same programs, same mentors, so we all understood the same way to play,
Hmm.
and we set out that and made that happen, and it was so successful. It really
Yeah.
was. The players bought into it, and Abbotsford was the best club in Canada for a while,
Hmm. Yeah.
and we had the national team coaches coming to watch Abbotsford play. That never
Hmm.
happened before.
Hmm.
So it's a matter of getting the right people involved and setting their clubs out. And the bigger clubs, I think, still could do better. They're
Hmm.
very good clubs. Metro Ford's a great club. I know Surrey's a great club. Coastal's a good club. There's lots of good clubs. But I think if I'm being a bit critical, sometimes I think they just give a coach the team and say, get on with it. You can
Hmm.
play any way you like. I think there should be the club should have a way to play,
Hmm.
and they all progress to the top team, which is the under 18 BC Premier League. And the
Hmm.
object is to win as much as you can, obviously, but
Yeah.
to get as many players to the next level as you can. I think that's what success is. People
Okay.
ask me, what's success? Winning games? Definitely. But the most success that I always looked at is how many players do I get rid of by moving them up? And I've done that with a few. You move them up and you lose them, but they're going to a better
Hmm.
environment. So you do
Hmm.
whatever is best for the player.
Hmm.
And I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think the clubs develop to play to get them to be the best, so they can get scholarships at universities. They can get it in a pro league and a semi-pro league now in the CPL.
Hmm.
And I think that's lacking a bit, and it needs somebody who knows what they're doing to make that happen at different clubs.
Hmm.
But it's difficult because you get all these coaches now, young coaches who have all got the UFA A, UFA B, and all their qualifications, but they've not won out. They don't coach the game. You know, they put drills on and the fancy stuff and all that. And I think they need to be around the professional environment to learn. I was lucky to do it, to do that. Because if I hadn't got involved in the Whitecaps, we wouldn't be talking tonight.
Mm,
Because they were the ones who put me up and says, this is the way we play.
yeah.
And I just was all ears and listened. Couldn't get
So,
enough.
so I mean, I'm out of the game a little bit now. It's been several years, but is there a development program for coaches? Like, if an up and coming coach is interested in getting to the next level, how do
Well,
they
there
how do they
is.
accomplish that?
I think I honestly, I used to be a coaching facilitator for the BC Soccer Association, and
Hmm.
I used to go around putting all the courses on all over BC and do that. And they're very good. It's a PowerPoint presentation. There's no pass or fail. There's soccer for life, you know, there's different levels for different ages.
Hmm.
Um, but they go there and it's all PowerPoint and it's all very, very, with all due respect, school teacherish. You know,
Hmm.
it's all
Hmm.
organized and it keeps everybody occupied for the hour, an hour and a half they train. And I used to say, and I probably got in trouble for it a few times, is, you know, the end the course and say, you've all passed, you've all done well, well done. However, I'll just let you know, I would never coach that way. And I tell
Hmm.
them what happened when took my coaching courses and then I got to the pro club and I don't do that anymore. You
Yeah.
know, they're time fillers.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of coaches, you know, especially the younger ones who are less experienced, or even the older ones who've got no experience, they go there and they say, right, we've got an hour. We'll do a 20-minute warm up. We'll do pull the pull the penny out of the pants and run around and chase and do silly warm ups. That'll do 20 minutes, and
Hmm.
then we'll do a shooting drill. So we'll do a shooting drill, and we'll do that, and they just get them organised and shoot. And then we'll say, right, lads, play. And then they stand back and go, that's it, I'm done. They let them play.
Hmm.
That's when they
Hmm.
should be coaching. When they're playing, that's when they should be coaching.
Hmm.
And the 86ers, in all the years we coached and had success, I think we won 4 now championships in a row, lost to the fifth
Hmm.
one to Steve Miller scored against us for Winnipeg. And people say, what do you do training? What do you do? What drills do you do? We just play. We just
Hmm.
play every night. And we went in
Yeah.
and we had 8v8, 9v9 in a small field, tight, played the same
Hmm.
patterns of play, and it was fast. We had fights, we
Hmm.
had red cards, we had all sorts
Hmm.
happening at training. And the games were slower than the training sessions. So it was
Hmm.
all about doing that. And we did that when I came to Abbotsford. And different with the pros because they can all play technically good. But when we did
Hmm.
that with the kids in Abbotsford, they,
Hmm.
they lapped it up. They couldn't wait to come train, you know.
Right.
And I used to
Yeah.
have this thing that I always uh, train 1 hour, and they'd all go 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. No, come on, off, off.
Hmm.
And Peter sometimes said, why do you do? Why do you give them 5 more minutes? I says they'll be wanting to come back. And you've got them saying, "Is it over yet?" You've lost them. So
Yeah.
let's cut it now, and they want to come back.
Yeah.
So
Good point.
we had just little things like that.
Yeah. No, that's great. Um, I'm going to put you in the seat of Jesse Marsh, um, looking ahead at the World Cup this summer. Can you identify your starting 11?
No,
No.
I don't even know half their names, but I think they look good. I think
Yeah.
I watched them the other night. They tied 0-0, tied 2-2 the game before after being two
Mhm.
down. Um, and I think he's got them playing the right way. There's energy. There's they're really hard to play against. You know, they're very physical, and I think that some of them play on the edge. You know, and I always used to pick players who were a bit over the top,
Mhm.
but you can always pull them back and hold them back, but you can't push it into them.
Mhm.
So they've got players. I mean, they've had 3 red cards in the last 3 games. So
Mhm.
discipline's a little bit of an issue, but it's just on that cusp. And if they can sort that out, I think they'll give teams a real problem in the World Cup. I think they've got a real good chance to get out of the group. Now,
Mm.
whether they win all the games, I don't know about that. But I think they've got a good chance to get out of the group because
Mhm.
they're a good side. They play
Yeah.
well and they're a tricky bunch. And I watched them the other night and 20 was it 24, 26, a little lad with the red hair with the pigtails through his hair and all that. Can't
Yeah.
remember his name. What a good little inter. Just see us.
Yeah.
He played really. He was buzzing around. He was flying. He was looked good. So
I
I
think
think
I
they've
think
got a good
he's
chance.
I think his name's Ramos, but I think he's a
Yes, yeah,
Mexican Canadian, and he's just
yes, I think
started
that's
to
him. Yeah,
test the
really
waters
impressed. Yeah,
in Canada. Yeah, like I read a couple Twitter comments saying that he's the Canadian Messi and he's a little spark plug.
bit early
Um,
for that.
yeah, I mean, I would, yeah, it is early, but I would love to see him as part of the starting 11. I think
Oh,
that's a bit of a conversation piece right now.
yeah, but I think they're pretty steady.
Hmm.
They've got some good players. I mean, the big one is Davy's going to be fit because he will make a difference. But
Hmm.
even if he's not and he doesn't come, I think
Hmm.
he's got a good squad, and I think a lot of people sort of raised their eyebrows when Jesse Marsh was hired an American to coach Canada.
Hmm.
He's done
Hmm.
a fabulous job. I think he's really
Hmm.
done a good job, and he's got the players believing in themselves. And I'm on WhatsApp tonight with all the national team squad. We're all chatting away here about
Hmm.
getting tickets, and there's a few disappointed that it's costing so much money.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of people going on, what, well, $700 for a ticket's a lot of money, but
yeah,
that's what it is. Nothing we can do
yeah.
about it.
That's what it is. Once in a lifetime
Yeah.
opportunity. Okay, a little bit of rapid fire questions for you, Coach. Um, your favorite soccer moment? Do you have one?
Oh, favorite soccer moment. I've had a few bad ones. Broke my leg twice. Favorite soccer moment. What have I got? I would say the White Cap. There's a few. The World Cup team qualifying in '86. I was part of the staff for that.
Hmm.
The '86ers winning four in a row. That's a terrific memories we have and share. And I, I keep bringing it up. Abbotsford.
Yeah, yeah.
Abbotsford. I absolutely loved it there. Won
Hmm.
two national championships. We had players on the national team from Abbotsford, which was unheard of. Brad
Hmm.
Batum, and we had Spencer Smith, Sophie
Hmm.
Smith's brother, for those that don't know.
Yeah,
We had
yeah.
Adam Lang, we had Cam McKinnon, we had quite a few from Abbotsford playing the national team, which
Hmm.
was really for a little town in the middle of nowhere, in Fraser Valley. I
Yeah,
was really pleased with that. So yeah, a lot of highlights. I'll
yeah.
probably remember more when I get off here.
Do you have any? Well, you said breaking your leg, but are there any
Oh,
others
that
like
was
a tough
nothing.
loss
Part of the job. Now,
or
the
the job?
lowest I think was um, lost to Mexico 2-1 in Toronto, and I think all we needed was a draw or a win to qualify for the '94 World Cup. And
Mm,
Sanchez scored in the last 5 minutes, I think. Hugo Sanchez. So we lost 2-1, and we had to play off against Australia, home and away, and we lost on penalties in Sydney. So
mm,
disappointing because I thought we had a good enough squad and we were
yeah,
good enough to go there. And I had lunch
yeah.
again the other day on Wednesday with Sven and Dolly and Frank Yallop and Colin, and we were talking about the team, and how well we did and what have you. And it was such a good squad, and we were together. And I thought if we'd got to the World Cup, it would have changed a few more players' lives because they'd have been seen and got bigger contracts somewhere else and what have
Mm,
you. So it was very unfortunate and
yeah,
disappointing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay, best player that you have coached.
Oh, I can't see a cut. Let my wife get that. Hey, that'll be Colin Miller telling me
Y-
to say Colin Miller.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
right.
Colin, it's not you. Oh, my wife's got that. I would say best player. Wow, there's a lot. Frank Yallop, the Colin Millers, Alex Bunbury's. Wow, Dominic Mabilio, John
Mm,
Catliff's. I mean, so many good players over the years. Yeah, I mean, even at the Whitecaps, there was, some of the big players as well that I did sessions with, but I wouldn't put them down. I wasn't really the coach. I was just part of the staff. But
yeah,
some very good players, better players than a lot of people give credit to.
yeah. Okay, best player that you coached against.
I've got a story about that. We had
I love it.
the league in '80s. It was called what was it called? The Pacific Northwest League, and there was Portland Reserves, Seattle Reserves, Vancouver Whitecaps Reserves, Pegasus, Langley, and we put the BC under-18s in the league, and there's no rules in the league. Colin Miller played for Langley, and so did I. He played for the
Hmm.
Whitecaps Reserves, and he played for the BC under-18s. There was no rules. It was just development. And all the
Hmm.
players that played in the NASL in the summer came back to BC because there was in 1980 there were 64 players from BC in the NASL playing professionally. So they'd come back and train and play, and we put the under 18s in there, and we played Seattle Reserves. And Seattle Reserves, it was a week before the first NASL start, and Alan Hinton brought up his team: Mike Ivanov in goal, international; Mike England, Welsh international; Ian Bridge, Harry Redknapp, the guy up front, Roger Davies, Alan Hudson, Steve Buttle. They're all pros, first team pros, top internationals. And we tied 2-2. And our boys were all over them. They didn't want to know. They were playing the next week. Anybody got injured. And Alan went mad. He was furious with me. Your players have been kicking my players. I says, Alan, 17 years of age. God knows only 16. And Alan Hudson came up and says, good team that. Well coached, good team. They give us a run, so we played against some very good players there. But
Mm.
we played against some good players with the World Cup team, obviously. We played
Yeah.
against Burkamp. We played against Luther
Oh.
Matthias. We played against Pep Guardiola. He came on as a sub in Montreal when he played. We played Brazil. We tied 1-1 with Brazil when Romario scored. And Eddie
Wow.
Budusco tied it up. So I coached against some very good players. Yeah. And
Um,
on the Brazil game,
yeah.
um, after the game, we tied 1-1. We couldn't get out that night. We had to stay in the hotel and get out the next day. So we're going for coffee, and we're all sitting around the table. And what was his name again? The little left back, Ian Fraser. He says, Alan, great week of training, fabulous week of training, loved it, and we did well. And he says, we were so impressed with you. Not once did you mention one of the Brazilian players' names. And I says, oh,
Mm.
thanks, Ian. That's a real nice compliment. And I said to Bobby, I don't know who the players are. I only know Romario and Bebeto and Dunga. That was it. So, but he thought it was great because we didn't mention, we just worked on what we did, which
Yeah.
I guess we did. But
Yeah.
it was a nice gesture.
Okay. This is all over social media, but your favorite EPL team?
I wear the lads, Newcastle. Actually, get a Newcastle shirt. I've got one here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. How come? Is that your hometown?
I grew up there. I'm from
Yeah.
Newcastle. Two or three of my mates played for Newcastle. One
Yeah.
of my very good friends is Peter Beardsley. I keep in touch with Peter quite often. Um, Great club. I mean, it's full of history, drama, ups and downs. A lot of downs, a few ups.
Hmm. Hmm.
I went over to the Carabao Cup final 3 years ago to see him playing Man United. Lost 2-0. I was going to go to the last one, but I thought, nah. Oh, but they won the last one to beat Liverpool. But it's a
Mm.
fabulous club, and the atmosphere at St James's Park is unbelievable. It's
Mm.
packed, it's noisy. And when I go to the Whitecaps, I sit and watch the games, and there's people getting up and going for drinks and food, and they're taking selfies and all this stuff. Game's going on. Go
Yeah.
to Newcastle.
Hmm.
That's it. If you move, sit down. There's a game on here. It's totally different, and they all
Yeah.
know the game. They know more than the manager. They all know the game. So it's just a fabulous club, but the EPL is brilliant as well.
Hmm.
It's. I watch every game I can on TV. I love it.
Hmm. Okay. Last question. Where's your next cruise?
I'll leave in 3 weeks to Hawaii. We do about 2 or 3 a year. I've done
Yeah.
43 up to now with
Wow.
Princess. That's with Princess. We've done a few more with us. But anyway,
Yeah.
we've done 43. We're doing it with, we normally do it every year. I love Sydney, Australia. So we fly to Sydney and we sail back to Vancouver. We do New Zealand, Tahiti, Bora Bora, Hawaii, LA, and all the way back up. 33 days. So
Wow.
we've done that the last 3 years on the trot. Last year, my wife Ruth got sick on it, and we didn't go this year. But we've got a friend who we know from the cruising in Australia, who's on the cruise. She's coming on again, so we're going to get on the cruise in Hawaii and meet her on the cruise and cruise back to Vancouver. And then every year we
Lo-
do Alaska for 14 days. Love Alaska.
lo-
Don't get off the ship. Just stay
yeah.
on the ship.
Love that.
Don't even get off.
Yeah. Okay. Final question for you, Coach. Any final words of advice for kind of up and coming players, coaches, anybody interested in the sport to see success?
Fully a dream. If it happened to me, it can happen to anybody. To be involved at the level I was. I was very fortunate. You're going to
Mm.
learn as you go. Um, but I think try and learn the game and again, it's got to be enjoyable. Training has to be fun. I'm starting. I think when I get back in May, I get back in May off the cruise. Starting right after that training with this under 15, under 16 team, and it'll be five-a-side. First
Mm,
3 or 4 days, five-a-side. See what talent I've got, and then we'll start organising and we'll coach in the game, rather than doing drills and try and pick who's the best. I mean, the level that we've got, it's Division One. It's not the top league. So, we just try and help these players become better players and
mhm,
enjoy it, because I think the success in coaching for me is to coach players who are still playing now and to play for the rest of their lives. I was in Costco the other day, and um, what was his name? Chris, I can't remember his last name now. But anyway, he's Alan Rowe. I met him 30, 40 years ago. He's
mhm,
still coaching, still plays. And Chris Pete. And there's so many people that it affects the game. It's a game for life, you know.
mhm,
My brother played till he was 67, you
mm.
know. I played when I was 61, not very well,
Yeah.
but the legs are gone. But
Yeah.
it's a game for life. And I got a lovely message from a guy in Kelowna who was at UMV for me for one season, and he's an American kid. And he had him at the club as well for 1 year. And he says, this is 20 years later, coach, I've got to thank you, because now when I watch the games on TV and the World Cup and what have you, I see it totally different to all my friends. I see your game, and all his friends are asking what happened here, what happened there. So he learned the game and he appreciates it. So
Mm,
it's to give them that joy for life and just love playing. You can't beat playing. Coaching's
yeah.
second best.
I love that.
Yeah.
Um, well, I just want to say a huge thank you for having an impact on my life, my family's life. All you've done for ASA, UFE, BC soccer, the national team, all those the decades of coaching that you put in. So I just want to say a huge thank you for everything you've given this game and given many others, including myself. So thank you.
Well, thank you. But I must say at the end here, if the world was made out of village people like your lot, your dad and your brother and your cousins and your uncles, it would be a lovely place to live. What a family you've got there, the villagers. Fabulous
Uh,
family. Say hi to them all for me.
I will. Thank you, Alan.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that so much.